Hey, okay, so we're ending I Dare You, the last two chapters, well, last three chapters, but the last chapter is like 2 pages, and it's really just his call to action, his final call. Obviously, we should have planned these days better because Memorial Day weekend is not the best weekend to be asking people to come in from a lovely summer night to be on a book club. But these chapters are really good, and I wanted to go ahead and record some of my thoughts so that you can share them with your teammates, because these two chapters, this book builds on itself. Okay, it is a starter book, and some of it is like super repeat. Some of it is really good for beginners, right? And for some of us, we're like, yeah, we already know this. But I feel like the main thing people struggle with when it comes to this business is knowing how to close. So there are lots of people who they're like, there's people that are interested, but they just never jump, right? I think we all have that issue at some point, and I needed these reminders that are in these chapters. So I wanted to make sure that I came on and recorded some of my main thoughts and takeaways from chapters 9 and 10 so that you can have this, you can share it with your teammates on tips on how to close well, tips on how to communicate with strangers so that we can get lots of people in our funnel. Lots of people we're talking to all at once, and then eventually they will drop through our funnel, right? But if you stop adding people, your funnel is going to get dry. Okay, but we want to know how to close people so they can drop through our funnel. Okay, so I love that he says treat everyone like someone, and to do that we're going to have to talk with a lot of different people, even when it's scary, even when we're not sure what to say. We all communicate. We all know how, truly. Don't overcomplicate it. When you make it weird, it gets weird. It doesn't have to be. Talk to people like they're real humans. So our goal is to turn strangers into friends, friends into family. And he brought up the acronym FORM, F-O-R-M, family, occupation, recreation, message. But he says he likes the acronym LORD better. So when we're having these conversations with brand new people, he likes to use LORD. LORD is location, occupation, recreation, and dreams. I really like this quite a lot because it starts with talking about location. So when you're talking with strangers from around the world, you might not have anything in common with them. You may not know anything at all about them, and that's the goal, right? We're not just talking to our list of 100 people that we already know, we have connections with. These are people you have maybe just randomly found on the internet because you have a common hashtag. Okay, so I love that Lord starts with location. Hey, where are you based? What's life look like for you? Are you in the US? What state are you in? Do you travel, move, whatever? Are you an RV parent or RV family? And then the next one is occupation. What do you do for a living? How do you spend your days? Okay. And then recreation is, what do you do with your spare time? Oh, you live in Switzerland? That's amazing. I love Switzerland. I've been to Interlaken, blah, 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 blah. That's location conversation. But then what do you do for fun in the beautiful Switzerland? I'm just using Switzerland as an example. But then the next one is dreams. So you're asking them their goals. You're talking to them about, hey, what vacation do you have planned for this summer? Do you have any cool plans going? Or what's your next step for your family? I love, watching your family on Instagram. So what's your next goal for what you're going to do? Or where's the next place you're planning to travel in your RV? Or start talking about what their next steps are, what they are looking for in their family. And the whole time we're doing that and we're having these conversations, we're looking for pain points. Okay, we're looking for things that aren't quite right, or they would prefer to have a little different. Okay, so I love his scenario on page 88. You can look that up to get specifics on it. But he writes out an example scenario of talking to someone. What do you do for a living? Oh, no, I don't love it, but it pays the bills. Bingo, pain point. What do you do for your spare time? Oh, I travel, but not as much as I like. Or, oh, I play golf, but not as much as I like. Bingo, pain point. Any plans for the rest of the year? Any vacations, dreams for your family? And the average person is not used to this. This is the one problem I had with the dreams question, because the average person is not used to dreaming. And that can be a pain point too. If they're like, dreaming, what do you mean? I just go to work, I do my jobs, I take care of the kids, and I do it all over again. But that's a pain point. That is somewhere that we can start to focus to help them dream again, help them think about taking the next conscious step, right? Intentional step. So the average person is not used to dreaming. They have a problem doing so. And then that's when I could be like, oh, I'm a pro dreamer. Trust me, I can show you how to have some dreams, right? So having these deep conversations makes you not a stranger anymore. You're not just a random person who has a similar hashtag. You're a random person who now you know where they live, you know a little bit of what they do, what their job looks like, what their family looks like, what they're planning to do. And that is how we turn strangers into friends, is by having conversations like Lord, right? Using the LORD acronym. So as we're having these conversations, we're looking for those pain points, but I would really caution you guys not to, at the first pain point, be like, oh, Plexus can help you with that. Oh, well, I know how to make extra money, just saying. Be careful not to throw that out there as a quick fix immediately. Listen to their whole story. Have a good couple conversations even before you bring it up. Because again, I bring this up a lot. If you've heard me say it, I apologize, but my therapist said, help not asked for is often perceived as control. And so we don't want to come across as overly helpful without them asking for it, or without us having enough trust built up that we're not just about a sell. We're not just about getting them on Plexus products, right? So wait for the right time to ask these transition questions, okay? The transitions questions we're gonna learn about here in just a minute, but we want to make people feel special and make them feel unique. He gives the example of this funny recorded video for birthdays. Whatever is personal to you that you feel like you could use to connect with people. Maybe the video for birthdays is for you. Maybe sending gifts is your thing. But those are a good way to connect, or can be a good way to connect, just to make people feel unique. It would be, I love that it said, it would be great to catch up with you soon, in whatever your conversation may be. Any birthday comment or message like, sorry I missed your birthday in real life. It would be great to catch up with you soon. I have no idea what's going on in your life. And that could be someone that you know, or has like high school or college or old elementary school friends or teachers or whatever, right? You can have that like, I'd love to catch up and hear what's going on in your life. Especially if they aren't someone who overly shares on social media. I know that in the Plexus world, we're all used to sharing our stories all the time, but most people aren't. And even people who are sharing a lot may not be sharing all the stuff. And they may need to have someone say, I want to know what's really going on in your life, not just the Instagram highlights. I want to know how life is really going for you. That can be a good, genuine touch for someone to make them feel unique and special, that we genuinely care, not just about the pretty photos and the things that look good. We want to know, how's real life going? So connect with people in that way. You can use Lord as the example, or whatever it takes, whatever personal touch you want to put on it. So then you do your personal conversation, your Lord conversation, and then you go into a transition question. So make it personal to your conversation. Hey, so I'm just curious, would you be open to checking out some info on Plexus? And in a no pressure, just thought I would ask sort of way. Hey, so just curious, if you could find a way to fire your boss? Would you? Just curious, would you like to play more golf, travel more? A recent one that I have used is, hey, I'm just curious. And I think actually I heard this from Jordan Roddenberry, but she said, if you ever start to consider monetizing your influence, I would love to talk to you about it. And leaving it like that, right? Leaving that pointed spot there, like, I want to be your girl. I want to be the person that you come to when you decide you want to monetize it. And that can just get the ball rolling. You can get into their head and find out where their stuck points are, like, oh, I don't have influence. Wrong. You have several hundred of people that you have influence over on your social media. Or maybe I actually heard recently, no, it was actually from Fraser Brooks, but from a video that he did. He was talking about, he surveyed over 500 influencers on social media, and the vast majority of them have this large influence, this number of followers, but they're not monetizing their influence, their number. And so many people just need to be asked. And we want to do it in a way that isn't like, if you guys have been on social media, you've probably gotten messages like, partner with this company and blah blah blah. It's like robot after robot or robot. It gets like really annoying to get these messages like, message so and so. It's like, no, I'm going to be a real human and I'm going to teach you how to monetize by using your influence on social media. So anyway, that is a good one, the monetizing your influence question. And then it is so normal when you ask these questions to be told no. I know you guys probably know that, but some of you may be brand new and you're really still caught off guard by people telling you no and you don't know what to do. But just know it is so normal to be told no in this business, okay? So just keep the conversation going. No worries. What's your plans for the weekend? Or I'm an open book if you ever get curious. That's one that I like to use often. But no worries. I understand it's not your thing or you're not interested. That's okay. Just keep the conversation going. But like, oh, you said you're going to go travel this place. What's your itinerary? I love to travel and I'd love to know what you're finding interesting about that place. Just keep it going so that people don't feel weird about saying no to you. Because I have found that people often look to see if you care about them enough to just stick around. Or if the whole convo was just about making a sale. People don't want to feel like a sale. That feels gross. Don't do that. Keep it real. Be friends with them because you never know when they may come back around. Sunny was really cool. I could tell she really cared about me, even if I wasn't ready to try her products at the first time she asked me. Story after story after story of jewels in this company who just had to have another touch point, had to have one other time, somebody having a genuine conversation with them and loving them through it all for them to finally be ready. It's all about timing, okay? So don't be afraid of hearing no. I love that he said Girl Scouts are making more than network marketers because they aren't afraid to move on. They aren't afraid to just ask the next person and just be okay that the other person before them did not want cookies. You guys have probably heard the story of the cafe, right? The waiter or waitress at the cafe going around asking if people want to warm up, if they want coffee. They don't get upset. They don't get mad if someone doesn't want coffee in their cup. They just keep moving on and ask the next person, and they may come back around in another 20 minutes and say, hey, do you want some more coffee? And you may or may not want it. And that's okay. It would feel really weird if the waitress got really defensive and upset that you said no to their coffee offer. Just to keep in mind that we can move on and it be okay. I know when we're on that list of 100 and the people that we know and the people that we're closest with, that he says we learn from, I know that it's really hard for them to tell us no, for them to not be interested in what we're interested in. It can feel like, for me, it has always felt like they don't trust me, or like I just have their best interest at heart, and I just want them to know what I have that could be good for them, and or I just want them to support me. Like, why can't you just support me? I would love to do this with you. That it hurts. It's hard to deal with. But we have to be able to move on, even with those people that we know and love the most. Okay, so a yes or a maybe. Don't send a link without setting up an appointment or booking a follow-up. He said, from now on, we are not sending any links, any videos without setting up a follow-up appointment. So he says, GoPro by Eric Worre, which is a good book. I remember reading that in the beginning and feeling more prepared, more, I don't know, like more understanding of what the network marketing world was like, because I wasn't ever a part of any kind of sales, any kind of network marketing at all when I first started. And I'm going to be honest with you, some of the first trainings I went to, I felt really gross about, because I didn't want to feel like I was learning sales tactics to hook people and make them feel, I didn't want to make people feel like it's just $1, right? And so I remember, if you're feeling that way, that may be super normal for you too. Just like, these are sales tactics, but these feel genuine to me. Okay, we're not just like hooking people or whatever. I don't want to ever be manipulative, and I don't think that these are. So Eric Worre's Go Pro, if you haven't read that book, I do recommend it. 7 skills to being a pro. 1, find prospects. 2, inviting. 3, presenting. 4, following up. 5, closing. 6, getting started. And 7, promoting events. So yes, what is it they say? And then he says, it's a visual thing. Can I show you? So Sally, Joe, Bob, when you have 15 minutes, or when do you have 15 minutes? Or for us, the triplex video, we've got the shorter one and the longer one. Give them the exact time. When do you have just under 5 minutes to watch this video? The triplex, you can use an opportunity video. You can use a diamond documentary of someone that you personally know. If you can tell from the pain point conversation that you had that that's what they're most interested in. Or maybe it's a video about the compensation plan. Shay Jones's husband has a really good compensation plan video that I like to share, especially with husband-wife couples, because he kind of speaks, he's a man, so he speaks the man language, right? But there are other great compensation plan videos out there as well. So send a video, hop on a Zoom, send a video, send maybe a testimony from real people, real stories that you know that they can relate to. That's a great way, but make sure you set up a follow-up appointment, okay? Your goal when you're having this conversation with them via message or text or even on a call is to not give them all the answers, because they're wanting to have all the answers at one time. And it's our goal to not give them all the answers up front, because we want to answer those questions after they've seen the presentation or the video or whatever that we know is going to talk to their pain point. So, AKA the reason why they would be willing to sign up. We want them to see that material before we start answering their questions. So, okay. So we often make the mistake of giving prices, etc., up front, or like, here, let me send you my link to my website. Too soon. We want them to see the information first, because they aren't going to want to spend $109 or more on something they don't believe in yet. They don't know all the reasons why they would want to. We don't buy things if we don't know why we want them. It's like, oh, that feels frivolous, or oh, that seems like too much. If you hear that, oh, that's too much, it's probably, not always, but probably because we didn't give them the information that they needed to believe in it enough first, okay? Because anyone who's been on these products and found an answer to their migraines or their sleep problems or their heart blood pressure, cholesterol, that kind of stuff, they would say they'd pay $1 million to not have to go back to the doctor 1 million times and never get answers, right? But they don't know that it's going to work for them like that yet. They're like, oh yeah, okay, it's supplements that could maybe work. We have to give them a presentation and enough a reason before we start giving out all the answers. So he says, set up the appointment, have them watch the video, and then schedule that appointment, and make sure that they're good with it. And he uses the term, does that sound good? Or not, he doesn't say good. He says, does that sound fair? Is it fair? Oh, okay. I'll talk to you at 9:05 tomorrow after you've had a chance to watch it at 9 o'clock. He said you'd be free at 9 a.m. I'll give you a call or shoot you a text at 9:05 to see what you think. Does that sound fair? And then they're giving you permission. So this helps create, when we do this, when we set up an appointment and don't give them all the information, what it does is it helps create some sort of scarcity and urgency. Otherwise, oh, I'll do it later becomes way too easy. We know how that is with samples. Sometimes people just put it on the back burner and they're like, oh, I'll watch that later. And then life happens. Life is busy, especially with families and kids in the summertime. Okay. So get good at following up right after they give you their presentation time. But any other no, yeses, or maybes, put them on a list too. Okay. Put them on a list as a no, AKA, not right now, I don't want coffee. Maybe you'll come around next time and they will want coffee. Sometimes a no is an absolute no and there's no reason in following back up again. But some people you can drip on. So follow up with those people, even the no's, can look like commenting on their content. It can look like messaging them directly. Yes, even the no's, just so you can drip on them. When they see you're still doing Plexus, they can see on your page you're still adding value and you're changing your life and you're changing other people's lives. That continues to build credibility over time. Do not discount that. So prospecting without trust is like a car without gas. You can stay in it all you want, but it isn't going to get you anywhere. But it won't go anywhere. Okay, so truth plus time equals trust. Truth plus time equals trust. Love on people and you will hear no more than yes, even if you're loving on people. Just keep that in mind. But our job is to love on people. Okay, and then chapter 10, the notes I have from chapter 10 are, so this is where he says, I dare you to move. I dare you to close more. So closing can be really scary. It can be intimidating, especially when it's people close to us. We build our skills, he says, on our friends and our family and our close people, but it can be built with strangers once we've built the skills. Or sorry, it can be built with strangers once we build the skills, okay? So if people on social media become friends by our communication and we offer info and they say yes, that's permission. And if they say no, it's really no, it's really no loss because it's a random stranger on the internet. Okay, so the stakes aren't as high for these strangers. But if we start to build these strangers into like semi-friends, right? And they say no, it doesn't sting as much as the people that we're the closest with. I know that to be true. So how to follow up to close. And he says part of this is to use the ladder of communication, which I think is interesting. And I have done this unintentionally throughout time, and I've never really paid attention to it. But the ladder of communication is you're starting with something low anxiety, like a text message or a direct message on social media. You start with, it goes up the ladder from text message, video message, audio call, video call. And I love that he says the power increases as you move up the ladder, but the chances of them actually happening decreases. Okay, so most people are going to be most comfortable with the text message or the direct message, but they have a lower power, a lower success rate. So you want to try to use what he calls the parrot principle. of trying out the next higher level up the ladder. So you might try out an audio message and see if they reply. If they reply using an audio message, you're like, okay, they're comfy with audio. I'm going to stick with that. For us, that's so much easier, right? We can just send a quick voice clip, and that's easier. It's a video. Hey, just wanted to put a face to my voice, which is often nice too, because they can get to see you. It's just so much more personal to have video. It's so much more personal to have audio than text message, and it's so much more personal to have video than it is to have audio. So you're moving up the ladder. But if they don't take your first audio and they reply in text message, you might want to go back to text message. It's the parrot principle to make them feel comfortable with what they're comfortable with. So he says, don't ask them what they think. Oh, on the presentation, on the follow-up call we're having with the person who said yes to more information, don't ask them what they think. And this one's so hard for me. I do this all the time. Tell me what you think. What'd you think of that? What do you think about these products? He says not to ask them what you think. He says, because your thoughts are your enemies. Your feelings are your friends. Okay, so when we're talking with people, we need to ask them, how did you feel about it? So the more you think, the more you doubt. The more you doubt, the less you do. The less you do, the more you think. And it's cyclical, and it goes on and on and on and on. So instead, we should say, so Bob, Sally, Joe, whatever, what did you like best? Or how did that make you feel? So then you talk about things they bring up. So again, we're learning more about who they are and what they care about, because what we cared about when we first joined is probably going to be different than theirs. We all have different lives, we all have different interests, we all have different pain points, and knowing what those are is powerful, because we need to get those questions answered. So pay attention to what they are paying attention to. And we do this to try to help determine kind of what their color personalities are. I don't know if you guys have heard of those, but it's interesting to look up to see. Some people care about being able to care for their friends and family. They're like, oh, when I watched that, I was thinking about my husband. I want to be able to help him with XYZ. Oh, when I was watching this, it made me think about how I would love to make an extra $500 a month. Or a blue that's the red personality, is like the money, the achievement, right? The green personalities are like, I have some questions about the ingredients in the products, right? They're really interested in the nitty gritty. And then you have some people who are like, oh my gosh, I saw that you went to Hawaii. Oh my goodness, that's so fun. I love to travel. They're the blue, they like to have lots of fun. So we're looking for those color personalities to know what they're most interested in or what their pain points are. So we need to ask them what they're thinking, or what they're feeling, not what they're thinking, or what they liked best from the video. And then he says, we're looking for people who are looking, and they are looking. These people have come to you, and they've accepted more information. So you say, is there anything else you need to know right now in order for you to get started today? I like that. So what other questions do you have? Is there anything else you need to know right now in order to get you started today? Not tomorrow, like, do you think you're ready, or those kind of things. We need to ask to get you started today. I think that's why we sometimes get stuck. I say we, me. I have gotten stuck over and over and over again in this waiting game of maybe sometime later, blah, 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 blah. But when you ask the question of anything else you need to know right now in order to be able to get started today, that triggers something in their brain. They're like, oh, well, I guess I'm still a little bit worried about this. Or now that I'm bought in, I saw that video, I do kind of need to know what the price is. Yeah, I'm interested, but I'm just not sure how people make money. We can send them some more information and then talk to them through that, right? But we don't often know why we're not ready to jump. until somebody asks us and they're like, oh, that thing was actually bothering me. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so say they are good to go. Now, this is where we sometimes bite ourselves in the booty, because we tend to overwhelm them. So like, oh, we're ready. Oh, well, let me tell you about how you can make $400 this month and how you can get a discount on this thing, 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 and on this and this and this. Don't overwhelm them, okay? When you confuse, you lose. It sends them into a tailspin of I don't know what to do, and back into that thinking mode. Oh, I don't know what to think, I don't know what to do. And so we say, great, sounds like you're ready to get started, and then guide them through the site right then, not later. This is where we're like, this will take a quick 5 minutes. Can I walk you through via text message, or actually a phone call is best? Do you have the time for that? A phone call is always best, especially if you know that they're technologically challenged, because people can get overwhelmed and then stop, and then you never know how long it's going to be until they're ready to sign back up. So if you can hop on the phone with them and walk through it with them on the phone, that is best. And each team kind of does it differently. I personally like for them to do it themselves and me to walk them through it using my voice. Okay, here's your next step, because that is the automatic first step of them knowing how to sign somebody else up, because they know how, because you didn't do it for them, you're coaching them how to. And so then when they're like, have someone who wants to try the products later, they know how to do it, right? They already have that first step of learning down because you taught them how. But if they are especially tech challenged, I do like to offer for me just to put their information in for them. And I think that's totally okay, especially if it's someone who you know is never, ever, ever going to work this business. It's hard to say that because you don't want to discount anyone, but often you just know this person is not going to work the business. And so then you can feel free to sign them up. Like my husband's grandparents, I know they're not going to work this business. And if they do, they would send a person to me to be able to sign them up. So I will gladly manage their site for them. And it's kind of like a perk of the business to be able to do that for them. It's a perk of being a VIP, is that we can walk them through. So just use your own judgment on what's best for that. The brand ambassador potential, if you need to share that with them, hop on a 3-way chat or a message. It's beautiful because now we don't have to choose on the front end how people sign up. So that overwhelming them part, we used to have to go through that a lot, but now everyone signs up as a VIP. And then after they sign up, then we can have that 3-way conversation with our upline. Our friend, careful not to use the word upline because it sounds foreign to people who are not in the network marketing world. You just say, hey, I want to set you up with my friend, Jessica, who I have been working this business with for years now. You edify them. You create that element of trust and pretty quickly with them by saying, hey, putting you in a 3-way message with this friend. So if you have questions, I know she might be able to answer this. Or if you're brand new, you can say, hey, I'm going to put you in a message with my friend Sunny. She's been doing this for years now. And I know that if you have a question, she's more likely to have the answer than I am because I just got started. And I want to make sure that I get you started strong. So you would introduce the person you're 3-way messaging with, and then you're going to introduce the person, your prospect or your new VIP, to your upline, your friend, and ask the upline to share their story, their vision, their mission, to give that third-party validation of why we're doing this. I think 3-way messages are very powerful. I don't always use them just because I have been doing this for so long, but anyone who's on my team, I need y'all to know that if you're overwhelmed and you want to I want you to use me, put me in a 3-way message with people, and let's start a conversation. That way we can have third-party validation, and that validation that we need to build support and trust and have another lifeline in the business. Okay, so that instills confidence, trust, and support from the get-go to have those 3-way messages. So in summary, I feel like I talked a lot. But it was good to get this recorded so that you guys can go back and watch it when you're not spending time with your families. Okay, so summary time. What did you like best? Only answer the questions that they bring up. Introduce them to your upline in a 3-way chat or a 3-way call. Call them your friend. Ask, is there anything else you need to know right now in order for you to get started today? Oh, I want to go back to this. The 3-way message and call it does not have to be just after they've signed up. It can be before that. Hey, this is so-and-so, she's interested in this. Jessica, do you mind sharing a little bit of your story as it relates to this thing, or share why you got into Plexus? That can be like helping answer questions on the front end when they're like, hey, what questions do you have that's going to help get you started today? Sorry. And they can answer those questions there. And that, so it can be before or after they sign up. So ask, is there anything else you need to know right now in order for you to get started today? And then say, great, let's get you started. Don't delay, don't set up. I mean, if they absolutely can't, set up an appointment. Okay, great. When is the next time and date that we can get you started? Let's put something on the calendar. How does this time sound? Does that sound fair? I love that. Does that sound fair? So we're going to do this over and over and over and over and over again. And that's how it works. Keeping in mind that we don't just do this once. We're going to keep doing it. We're going to keep having conversations. We're going to keep turning strangers into friends and friends into family. And we're going to change people's lives. It does not have to be complicated. Sometimes is, sometimes feels that way, but it really doesn't have to be. When we make this simple, it's duplicatable and something that we can continue to do for the rest of our lives. Because like myself, I am a Plexus lifer. I intend to do this for the rest of my life. So I want to make it as in line with my values and who I am as a person as possible, so that I want to keep doing it. So learn what feels good to you, what feels natural and genuine to you, because that is what you're most likely to actually stick with and actually keep doing. Okay, so keep working on it, keep tweaking it until it feels right for you. But closing is so important. So just keep in mind, you can do this. Okay. And then the chapter 11, I'm not going to reread everything he wrote, but you want to plan for content 5 minutes a day, communicate with for 3 to 10 minutes a day, connect with new people, communicate with existing people, and you're closing the people you open over and over and over. With time, you will see a huge difference. It will take time, but you will get it. You will deal with haters, complicated family, complicated relationships with your team sometimes, but this business works. I highly encourage you, I don't know if I've already said this or not, but find 3 testimonies that make you cry. 3 testimonies that no amount of skepticism, no amount of scary, intimidating, mean family members can shake your belief in these testimonies. No amount of skepticism can take away these people's testimonies. It's real. You can't, I've heard all the things, right? You'll hear stuff about pyramid schemes, and you'll hear stuff, and we have answers for that. This is not a pyramid scheme. You'll hear people say, oh, it's a placebo. I'm sorry, but you cannot placebo affect these lab results that my friend just got from her doctor, right? You cannot placebo affect the fact that I have not had migraines for over 7 years, okay? So keep those testimonies in, bury them in your heart, keep them with you for when things get tough. And when we're working this business, I want you to focus on progress, not perfection. If you are looking to be perfect at this, you're going to quit. I want you to know that it's progress from the very start. For years and years and years, you are going to continue to make progress. You don't make it in this business. You don't get to the top of the company and be like, oh, I have mastered it all, because that's not how it works. We are always learning something. We're always raising our lid, is what John Maxwell calls it. We're always raising our leadership lid and learning something new, and learning a new skill. You don't ever stop learning. It is always progress moving forward. Okay, authenticity is and always will be your number one weapon. I don't want to use a weapon, but it will be your number one skill. So be you. People cannot copy that. You have value to bring to this world. I want you to keep that in mind, that it doesn't matter. Let me end with this. Well, let me say this first. He has this book, I Dare You, but he also has a book called I Double Dare You. I double dare you. Yeah, that goes in deeper. We may consider doing that book later as well. But be you. Realize that you do have influence. We are influential whether we believe it or not. We're either influencing people to have progress and move forward, or we're influencing people by not doing things and showing them it's okay to not do the things. It's okay to stay stagnant. You have unique abilities that other people do not have. So do not discount who you are. So there was this moment that God was speaking to me really clearly about the power that I had as a person in this business, in life in general. I've always been very connected to being light for Christ and shining light into the darkest places of people's lives. I feel like that is the calling on my heart, but sometimes, and maybe you can relate to this, I feel like my light isn't as bright as others, that I'm not as good at this as others, or I discount what I'm putting out onto social media and the content that I'm creating. And God gave me this very distinct moment. I was standing outside our house. It was a summer storm, and there was this beautiful lightning show display, like one of those heat constricted storms. It wasn't raining, the wind was blowing. There's this, it was lighting up the entire sky, and I was like awestruck by the power and just the magnitude of this light and how big it felt and inspiring, and it was just beautiful. And but then I was also, at the same time that was happening, I was looking out over the field across from my house, and there were little lightning bugs, fireflies in the field, just sparkling throughout the night. And I very distinctly remember the lesson God was trying to teach me from that moment, is that there's this huge, massive lightning display going on, and all I was focused on was that little firefly in the field, putting out little bitty tiny bits of sparkly light that was just as captivating to me as the big storm that was going on above my head, with huge strikes of lightning and powerful light happening. Don't discount the light you have to bring. You are shining just as brightly, even if you are a tiny little firefly in a field. You are just as powerful. You have just as much to bring to the table. And I don't want you to discount that because you see somebody out there doing it bigger and bolder and recruiting more and growing faster. Don't compare yourself. Your light is just as important as somebody else's. Okay. So you go in with your authentic self when you're making these connections, when you are connecting with people, when you are signing them up, and when you're closing them. Be you and shine your light into their life, and you will not fail. God instinctively, we know how to instinctively love well because we are made in the image of our Creator. And we also know how to be creative and bring value to the world because The creator is literally inside of us. We're made in his image, and he created this entire universe. So we really can come up with good content to put on social media. Believe in yourself, believe in the light you have to bring, and let's do another book club later, maybe in a month when there aren't 2 major holidays. Thank you guys. Have a great week.